Folks, brace yourself as we begin race number 11 at Silverstone. I'm Sarthak Ayappa from Vid Esports, and you're watching the race to 0R. And of course, this time around, let's see how many drivers have attended the race, have come for shock qualifying itself. We'll have a couple of them joining directly for the race itself. And for those of you who are new to race to 0R, Race to 0R is a very casual race series where you get the liberty of having it streamed and commentated on, and also a couple of clips here and there on our social platforms of Vid Esports. We just wanted to create this race series based on the fact that there are a lot of people out there already, joining random lobbies, random open lobbies and racing, but just giving them this extra mile of having it streamed live, and the clips after also counts. Each driver will be awarded points depending on a couple of parameters, but more on it soon enough. Britain, as we head to Britain, Silverstone shock qualifying first up. 18 minutes for each driver to set a lap time which will determine their grid position for the race. Sadly, I'm not joined by anyone tonight, so I guess the audience in the chat will be my company. Of course, don't forget, drop in the chat who you're here for. Which driver are you here to support? Most of the drivers have their friends come by and drop in the chat their in-game names to show their support. And more often than not, we seem to end up having a couple of technical issues like the one we are right now. Possibly. Nope, it's raining. Silverstone. Let's go. Shock qualifying. 18 minutes to go. Let's see who comes out on top. And 13 drivers currently will participate in the shock qualifying. Of course, Rastinish has assured he will join directly for the race, which means he will start at the end, at the back of the pack. Looks like Piyush Gandhi seems to have issues already. He's disconnected or some other issue. Meanwhile, Nero X coming out of the pits. Clearly, we do not have technical issues this time around. 17 minutes to go in shock qualifying, and there's rain at Silverstone. What more can you ask for? Let's see what the drivers can do, what lap times will be set, and who will come out on top on pole. Yep, Daksh Pathak in the chat says that's gonna be challenging. Yes, it is, Daksh. And on your screens right now, Nero X, 9-time race winner here at the Race to 0R. He missed out on winning the race last time around after a couple of incidents in the race. KDB ended up taking the victory at race number 10, and clearly well deserved one at that. The Hungaroring race, good one for sure. Watch that later if you have the time. Meanwhile, the British GP Silverstone race number 11 soon to start. 16 minutes left into qualifying, and on his outlap, Nero X. Meanwhile, sector 2 goes yellow. Looks like a couple of drivers taking it real nice and slow. We see fight 6 out on the track as well. Looks like we got a spin already. Looks like it's Tier Gasly. It was on his outlap. Unusual to spin on your outlap. Had the car just almost in the middle of the track, almost caught Rishi 56 off guard, but Tier Gasly, he changes his in-game name every week. Every week he changes his in-game name. And this time around it's Tier Gasly. It was Gambler, it was Trickless Latifi, or I don't know what it was, but clearly he gets the attention of the audience and especially ours. And Megash asks in the chat, no Kumori Zora. Nope, he's not here tonight. Unusual for sure, but looks like he is busy. And of course it's a casual race series, so shouldn't really matter. But 15 minutes to go. See who comes out on top. Big Man Joe's here as well in the pits, will be coming out on his out lap. Let's just go on board Nero X, who is currently on a hot lap. Got everything for you all set up. Purple sector in sector 1. Clearly he's on the run. Looks like he was caught off guard going into that corner. Let's see what he can do. Diving into sector 2. And right after the straight, dives down into the infamous Maggots and Beckets. Beautiful corners, of course. Let's see if he can come up on top. Looks like we've got someone in the commentator's box. Someone who's not too fond of talking, clearly. And Freeze on his out lap as well will start his fast lap very soon. And looks like he's had a change of livery. No, he hasn't. Still the same. Flamezino needs an invite, says Megharsh. Alright then, let's make sure he gets one. Meanwhile, folks, drop in the chat who you're here for. Who do you think will come out on top? Yep, looks like we're good to go. Zunaid just set the fastest lap time, 1 minute 39.344, but not too soon there, as KDB 1 minute 38.064. And of course, Freeze on his hot lap, sector 2 looking bright. Meanwhile, Nero X's first lap didn't seem to have gone his way, or must have been invalidated as he goes through sector 2 himself. Freeze in sector 2 as well, so I'm guessing they're gonna meet soon enough. Oh no, Freeze's lap has been invalidated. Looks like Nero X could be on a banger of a lap. 1 minute 38.064, the time to beat for now. Meanwhile, across the line soon enough, we have purple sectors all around. Nero X with the fastest lap time, 1 minute 36.1364. That is, ladies and gentlemen, almost 2 seconds quicker than KDB. Almost way over 2 seconds, in fact. Accelerate putting in a time of 1 minute 37.632. Clearly, he's in the mix as well. The 3 race winners of Race to Zero are in the top 3 already. Pushing hard enough, Nero X. Let's go down to Big Man Joe, who just set a lap time, which puts him in the top 3 himself. Almost met by traffic there as they clear out space for him. Going through sector 1, Big Man Joe can put himself on pole is the question, isn't it? Of course, Freeze coming through. He's on a fast lap himself, coming through sector 3. Looks like he's in the 1 minute 30s already. And right around the last corner he comes. Can he sell? Lap time won't be in the top 3 for sure. Sticks at P6. Another driver to look out for, rumor has it, is Mr. Wex, the livery, the lad with the trippy livery, in my opinion, as he is yet to start his fast lap, along with UK, who's probably starting a fast lap of his own. So this may not go in his favor. We'll find out as KDB sets 1 minute 38.064. That old time is still stuck on our screens, isn't it? Invalidated lap, invalidated for Mr. Wex. See what we see, 5-6 can pull off at Silverstone. While blame Zeno in the pits, he'll be another contender to look out for. Looks like UK is slowing down a tad bit too much. Looks like he's let a car go, but meanwhile Mr. Wex possibly going to start doing donuts soon enough. Hyrox 24 is back, folks, after a long leave, and looks like he's going into the pits. Tia Gasly on his fast lap, sector 2. Absolutely flying. He's flying, isn't he? Almost flying here. 1 minute 20 is already into the very end of sector 3. Could he set a really good lap time? Tia Gasly coming around the penultimate corner, and then the last corner. Could he put himself in contention? I doubt it, but he puts himself better than Zunaid and Freeze up in a P5. Coming out of the pits, 2 of the cars, Zunaid of the Risky Racers, and looks like the other driver seems to be one of the front runners. Possibly not Accelerate. It's like Accelerate is going into the pits. Okay. Meanwhile, Big Man Joe out on another fast lap. Sector 3 it is. Couple of the penultimate corners he dives into. Let's see across the line what he can do. Can he do one better compared to Nero X? No, he doesn't, but he does one better for Accelerate, putting himself on P2. Just under 8 minutes to go in shock qualifying at Silverstone, race number 11 of the race to 0R. Let's see who come out on top. Currently in provisional pole is Nero X. Let's see if anyone can beat his time. Mr. Wex beats Big Man Joe. What a lap time he set. 1 minute 37 dead almost. Wow, brilliant drivers. Folks in the chat, make sure you mention who you're here for. And looks like Mr. Wex is in the mood for a couple of donuts perhaps. See him do it. Nero X on his out lap. Validated. Mr. Wex, stay with us, folks, as we ensure a couple of more drivers join us. Yep, we should be back. Nero X puts himself still on pole, my bad. And Mr. Wex in P2, Big Man Joe in P3. Surprising though, looks like since in the recent past, Mr. Wex is in his element. KDB dropped down to P6, he is on his fast lap if I'm not wrong, and so is Rick 356. KDB going through sector 2, we'll see what kind of lap he puts in. Looks like awfully close there in sector 3. 2 cars almost zipping through the pack, one of them being Freeze. I wonder who the other one. Yes, it's Mr. Wex, who's on his fast lap. It'll be interesting to see how he's going to tackle it, and he dives right into the pits, clearly aborting that. Fast lap was the wise thing to do. Just under 6 minutes to go. Bunch of the drivers in the pits. Of course, Rusty Nish will join us directly for the race, which means he will be starting at the back of the pack. And Nero X has started another fast lap. It'll be interesting to see where that puts him. Will he better his time? But looks like he's gone off track. Yes, he's gone way off track. Clearly nothing to worry about, considering he is on provisional pole. 5 minutes to go. Short qualifying. Last couple of minutes for the driver's side time. KDB puts himself one above his buddy Vic C56. Awfully close to the wall there, KDB. Making sure he doesn't impede any of the drivers. Going way off there. Looks like this won't be anything new. Looks like he's completely lost the car on the gravel. Gets it back on track. Going off track once again. Oh, okay. He's trying to get to the pits perhaps. Or he's having insane issues. And for some reason the camera refuses to give us an aerial view of KDB as he goes all over the track. And yep, there we go. Oh, looks like he has a puncher. Looks like he has a puncher? No. Doesn't seem like it. And NeroX still holding provisional pole. Trying to nurse that car back in the pits, an issue for sure. And meanwhile, Blame Zeno is with us. P5, his lap time. Let's see where he puts himself. As Thunderbird has joined us, that is incredible. Another driver, just under 4 minutes into qualifying. Blame Zeno on a spectacular fast lap there. Hopefully he can set a brilliant lap. Purple sector in sector 1 clearly. He is pushing to the limit, and as he loses the car going into sector 2, completely spins, trying to get back on track in the most safe way possible. And I think there's a car coming around the corner before him. Will be cautious there for sure. Unfortunate there. Blame Zeno after that purple sector in sector 1. Almost thought he could have had a good run there, making sure he leaves space for accelerate so he doesn't impede him. Meanwhile, NeroX looking bright in the top of the pack. Sector 2, 53 seconds and counting. Could we see a better lap time is the question. Meanwhile, his closest competitors, Mr. Wex on an outlap. Big Man Joe still in the pits with just under 3 seconds to go, and NeroX's lap has been invalidated. On his outlap, accelerate on a fast lap himself. Sector 3, going through sector 3, will be entering the penultimate and the last corner. Blame Zeno on a fast lap himself. Nope. After that spin, looks like he'll be starting one soon enough. Across the line he comes. Can he do better? Nope, he doesn't. He sticks at P3. Accelerate will be trying to do one better once again. Big Man Joe coming out of the pits now. Where will he put himself? I think those are the drivers to watch out for. Definitely the rest of the pack is equally efficient on track, equally skillful when it comes to Formula 1 2020 game. Clearly, the ones to look out for right now is NeroX, Mr. Wex, Accelerate, Big Man Joe, Blame Zeno, and KDB. Folks in the chat, make sure you mention who you're here for. Which driver do you think will come out on top? If I'm not wrong, Horning is in the process of joining us as well. Let's hope he joins us in time, as we have just 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, just under 1.5 minutes to go in short qualifying. Let me send one last invite to our friend Horning. And we are back. Looks like we've lost Blame Zeno in that disaster for him. Doesn't seem like he's on track, so he might have disconnected. Looks like, yep, accepting the fact that they cannot better their time. It looks like drivers are disconnecting. KDB on his outlap, trying one last time. Big Man Joe on his outlap as well, just under 30 seconds, closing in on the 30-second mark left for the race. NeroX sets an even better lap time, 1 minute 35.802. Fastest lap so far. Accelerate looking awfully slow in sector 1. Mr. Wex on a fast lap, sector 2 looking bright for him as his lap is invalidated. Not too great. He's gonna have to stick to P2 unless Big Man Joe can do one better. Accelerate in contention for that spot as well. Doesn't seem like he's fighting for it necessarily as qualifying comes to an end at Silverstone. Big Man Joe looking like he's on a fast lap. The only few drivers out there. Right behind him is Tia Gasly, if I'm not wrong. Around corners, going in sector 2 now. Big Man Joe pushing it real hard. Accelerate is still out, folks. He's still out on track. Along with them, Tia Gasly and Thunderbird, who may not get a fast lap time at the Silverstone track, unless clearly he does set a lap time, puts himself P10. Piyush Gandhi joined us pretty late, which means he'll be starting at the back of the pack himself and going into the race. Rusty Nish will probably join us too. Meanwhile, going into sector 3, Big Man Joe looking strong, goes slightly beyond, exceeds track limits there. Surprising to see his lap time hasn't been invalidated. He'll be happy about that. Accelerate, sticks to P3 this lap. Let's see if Big Man Joe can do higher. Yes, he will. P2 for Big Man Joe. He'll be starting P2. Splits Nero X and Mr. Wex. Mr. Wex won't be pleased with that. And Accelerate, push down to P4. Clearly, Big Man Joe telling, probably hypothetically, in fact, to see some brilliant racing against Nero X soon enough. As we end shock qualifying at Silverstone, Nero X is on pole yet again at the race to 0-hour, race number 11. Big Man Joe in P2, Mr. Wex in P3. P4 goes to Accelerate, Blame Zero P5, KDB P6, UK P7, and so on and so forth. What a race we're in for. What a race we're in for. I wonder if the conditions will remain the same during the race. That is the question, isn't it? Looks like we're ready to go soon enough. Session ends in just a couple of seconds. Meanwhile, folks, do not go anywhere. This race is going to be insane. Drivers on intermediate tires. Probably if the rain gets even worse, they're going to bring out the full wets. We've seen that happen previously in Brazil, if I'm not wrong, in Interlagos. Clearly, Silverstone is going to be a treat as we begin race number 11 of the race to 0-hour. Make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for. Who do you think will come out on top? I am super excited, and looks like we do not have rain. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of grins on a couple of these drivers' faces because they're not always happy about that extra factor of rain coming into the mix. So clearly, it's going to be a brilliant race for sure. I had to catch my breath there, clearly. And the session's ready to start in 30 seconds. 10 of y'all joined us for watching. Make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for. Who you think will come out on top of race number 11. My prediction, my bold prediction, I would say Big Man Joe's gonna put himself on the podium. He's looking stronger than ever tonight. We've not seen him in that element before in the race to 0-hour. Clearly the first time. Let's see where he'll put himself. But it's anyone's guess. Honestly, it's anyone's guess. As we get ready to go racing at Silverstone, the lights will go off in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. And we are ready to go racing at Silverstone. And away they go. Looks like we've got the pit stop strategy blocking our view, but no worries. One of the cars went extremely wide there. Going into that, looks like we have a spin. Yes, we do. And it is Zunaid. No, it's not. Looks like it is one of the white cars. And it is Zunaid. As they crash, go wide there. Incredible. Fighting a little audaciously there. Freezing Zunaid. Meanwhile, in between, in the midfield, looks like the drivers are fighting for position incredibly as he swings wide there. UK in an attempt to dive around the inside of the driver in front. Drivers trying their best to make good on this opportunity of less than a second's gap between drivers. And Blame Zeno completely spins off. Tia Gasly off track, crashes. Disaster for Blame Zeno and Tia Gasly as well. Blame Zeno being caught off guard in the first lap. too frequently. Tear Gasly falls and looks like a bit of his wing is missing as well. Meanwhile, Nero X holding on to that race lead. Already a second gap between him and Big Man Joe. Looks like the midfield is still awfully close together. KDB making that move on accelerate work, wheel to wheel going into the next corner. Can he hold on to it? Accelerate defending pretty well there. Meanwhile, UK on the tail of KDB hoping for capitalizing on that situation. Going on to the main straight, he should get some good slipstream. Not the main straight, yes it is the main straight. KDB holding on to his position, taking to the fight to accelerate. Meanwhile, Thunderbird in the mix as well, puts himself at P7. Big Man Joe completely lost it there. Looks like sector 1 has gone yellow. And that gap to Nero X is 3 seconds as accelerate will dive around the inside, outside. He's looking for a gap, goes around the outside of Big Man Joe. Trying, won't get it. KDB shunts into accelerate. UK Hyrox 24 in the mix. Mr. Wex going wheel to wheel there. Hyrox 24, will he get the slipstream he needs to get the jump on Mr. Wex? Yes, he will. And wheel to wheel going on to that straight. Next corner, who is going to come out on top? Hyrox 24 taking it to Mr. Wex and holding that position brilliantly. 3 second time penalty for Big Man Joe. Multiple time penalties for multiple drivers there. UK 3 second time penalty, Hyrox 3 second time penalty. Meanwhile, KDB closing in on accelerate once again, looks down the inside, dives and will have that position, but leaves space for accelerate to fight for. It's anyone's guess going into the next corner. That lead is only increasing between Nero X and Big Man Joe. No mistakes. That's what's going on in the head of our race leader right now. No mistakes. He wants this race to win. Midfield going chaotic there, wheel to wheel, and he's lost it. Piyush Gandhi has lost his spun on the main straight. Disaster unfolds at Silverstone for him. Meanwhile, Mr. Wex in the pits will come out. I wonder on what tires freeze into the pits as well. Purple sector for Nero X. Looks like no one can stop him at this rate. Let's get a couple of more details out for y'all. Big Man Joe has another issue on his hands as KDB closes in. Piyush Gandhi gets a 3 second time penalty after multiple warnings. Going into the next corner, can KDB take the fight to Big Man Joe? Yes, he will. These two brilliant drivers, it's always nice to see them racing. We've seen them racing in the Boa Racing League and this time around in the race to 0R. Peeks down the inside, couldn't quite get a gap, pushing real hard. KDB has accelerate to worry about soon enough, I'm sure. Going into that, KDB alongside Big Man Joe takes that position almost flawlessly. But Big Man Joe won't give up that position without a fight. Going into the next corner, let's see who come out on top. Locks up the front left. Won't be happy about that. Nero X meanwhile in the front position. Fastest lap after fastest lap. Zunaid making up a position as Shivasundar seems to have an issue. Three-way battle there between Shivasundar, Thunderbird and Zunaid. Aggressive as always. Shivasundar trying to hold that position. Has Thunderbird alongside him. Thunderbird making good on that overtake. And he will try Piyush Gandhi once again. His spin he won't be pleased of. Three-way battle. Shivasundar, what a dive that was. Three-way. Looks like these three are going to be switching positions awfully a lot in this race. 4 laps up. And I need to get a breath, but this racing doesn't seem to die down, and this is what we love as Thunderbird comes alongside Piyush Gandhi, gets that position once again. Piyush Gandhi trying his best to get that jump on these two drivers. Slipstream will try once again. Piyush Gandhi has Blame Zeno way off. 25-second gap for Mr. Wex and Blame Zeno. What a drive there by Thunderbird. Closing in on Shivasundar, not lifting off the throttle at all. Loses it a bit there, which will cost him. dearly in terms of gap, but he makes the attempt. Yes, he will. Piyush Gandhi, what an overtake that was. 2 positions going into those 3 corners. Meanwhile, UK has put himself in P5, and closest to Big Man Joe is Accelerate as he closes in on KDB and Big Man Joe. Nice and easy, mate. Nice and easy, as he'll be looking forward to get the jump on Big Man Joe soon enough. Looks for a gap, couldn't quite get it. Close enough. UK getting into the mix there. Clearly, he should capitalize on this. Accelerate looking down the inside. Big Man Joe goes way off there, and UK gets that position as well. In a matter of just 1 corner, Big Man Joe has lost 2 positions. Hyrox 24 closing in. Blame Zeno seems to have an issue. No, he doesn't. Thunderbird seems to have a bit of an off there as he falls down to P12. Mr. Wex 24 seconds off of Thunderbird, not too ideal. And of course, with over 8 laps to go, I don't think he'll be making that gap anytime soon. Unless, of course, folks, a safety car comes in. I'm not predicting anything, but anything's possible. Like we've seen in the previous races, the race to 0R. Nero X with a 10-second gap. 10 seconds, folks. 10 seconds. Meanwhile, for P2, P3, P4, these lads are fighting neck and neck just under a second. Hyrox 24 making a brilliant fight. They're taking it to Big Man Joe, but doesn't quite get it. Big Man Joe will hold that position, but we'll have Hyrox 24 to worry about. And KDB has accelerated in UK, hungry for his position. Clearly, he'll have to hold it pretty well. Blame Zeno on the tail of Shivasundar. Hyrox 24 trying another one as he falls down the pack. Clearly an incident there. As right behind him, Zunaid attempting overtakes on Hyrox 24. Piyush Gandhi in the mix. 3-second time penalty for UK. Yep, we can see on board Piyush Gandhi, Zunaid and Hyrox 24 awfully close. Yes, down the inside, Hyrox 24 goes wide. Zunaid will take that position, and in his mind, he's like, I gotta hold on to this. Hyrox 24 is not one to back off. None of these drivers are going into the next couple of corners. Hyrox 24 will have an opportunity perhaps. Meanwhile, Accelerate and KDB UK having a fight. Locks up there KDB, and Accelerate should make good on that. Close enough. UK on the tail of Accelerate as they come onto the main straight. Pit window is open. Accelerate peeking down the inside of KDB UK right behind him. Brilliant racing here in the front of the pack. Positions getting switched all around as 3 drivers dive into the pits. That's Big Man Joe, Wix 356 and Shiv Sundar in the pits right now, coming out on medium tires. Surprising Big Man Joe will decide. Mediums perhaps, it still shows softs for us. KDB, 3-second time penalty. This is gonna be a shocker for sure. 12-second gap to Nero X. I don't think that's gonna get closed anytime soon. Accelerates pushing real hard. He's trying his best as UK pushing himself harder than ever. 3-second time penalty for Thunderbird as well. Big Man Joe coming out of the pits on the softs. Interesting. We'll be looking forward to climb up the pack, and looks like Piyush Gandhi and Zunaid are having a bit of a fight there going into the next couple of corners. Yep, Zunaid will try and peek for a gap. UK closer than ever to Accelerate. Will he get that jump? Look at that view, folks, as they dive into the pits. Incident in the pit lane for Accelerate, and UK was caught in the mix as well. KDB can take a breath, and so can I. Let me check the chat. She Watson. She Watson in the chat, not by my side. Zunaid with a drive-through penalty, severe collision with Piyush Gandhi. Wonder what happened there. as he dives into the pits himself. Blamzino puts himself up into P3 as he's still on the mediums he started off with. 13-second gap. Let's go to our race leader, who is conveniently in the front. No worries, probably has a drink next to his setup in his room. 13-second gap and nothing to worry about. Blamzino, 19 seconds the gap to KDB. 19 seconds as Piyush Gandhi, Harirosh 94 and Zunaid go into the pits for change of tires. UK looking like the driver closest to another. Looks like the game has taken away the gap between drivers. Clearly inconvenient for us. UK closing in on accelerate. Pit, they dive into the pits. Nero X and KDB. Let's see what he's coming out on. 3-second time penalty for UK. And KDB into the pits right now. Clearly Nero X will be out and about by the time KDB comes out. Coming out on the mediums, Nero X with just 4 laps to go at Silverstone. Meanwhile, Blamzino diving into the pits himself. KDB with the wing change, front wing change, and Nero X comes out in front with absolutely nothing to worry about. Could this be another win on Nero X's belt? Let's see. Let's see. Time will tell as Big Man Joe gets the jump on KDB, Mr. Wex, and the lot as they dive into the pits. Meanwhile, Zunaid dropping incredibly Tear Gasly, getting a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings. Looks like Shiv Sundar and the lot having quite the battle at the back of the pack. Thunderbird trying to close in on Shiv Sundar as he racks up a bunch of penalties himself. And right behind them, 3 drivers, Tear Gasly, Blamzino and Zunaid looking awfully good. Awfully close in fact, and Freeze has an issue of making sure none of the drivers behind him gets his position. Meanwhile, UK closing in on accelerate. Thunderbird closing in on Shiv Sundar himself, but clearly UK has a lot to make up for before challenging the other driver. Shiv Sundar has Thunderbird on his tail, wheel to wheel going into the next corner. They have contact, but Thunderbird holds that pretty darn well, if I might say. But Shiv Sundar will go on the attack soon enough. Freeze will get into that mix for sure, but he's got problems of his own as Tear Gasly closes in on him. 5-way battle almost as Blamzino gets into the mix himself on the soft tires. Will be quicker than the rest of the lads who are on the hards and the mediums. And he spins Blamzino. He's lost the car yet again. Disaster for him in another race at the race to 0R. As a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting for Thunderbird as he's off track after taking a enormous spin, and looks like he has possibly been disqualified, or I don't know what's wrong as he's off track trying to join in. Clearly his front wing not looking great. Yup, issues. Sector 3 goes yellow, and the driver closest to another is Blamzino after that not so fortunate spin. UK closing in on accelerate. Sector 1 and 3 go yellow, wheel to wheel almost here, and contact quite dive down the inside. Shiv Sundar trying to hold him off. Blamzino will not get that defense as an issue. He gets that position instead. Nothing to worry about for Blamzino. Let's go racing, he says. And Shiv Sundar, lots to make up for in the last time. Meanwhile, in front, UK pushing real hard. Big Man Joe will soon approach him. Going on to the main straight, accelerate will have the pace going in the next corner. Nothing to worry about. So far, so good for the lad. Meanwhile, if you haven't noticed already, if you're joining us right now, Nero X with that 15-second gap, pretty much chilling out in front. 2 laps to go, nothing to worry about. The lad's got another win on his belt confirmed. Clearly he's not going to bed, or probably resuming his day, depending on what timeline he's on with anybody at all. And Nyaridox 24 gets a 3-second time penalty. Mr. Wex gets a 3-second time penalty. It's penalties all around at Silverstone. Race number 11 of Race to Zero hour. And UK trying his best to close in on that gap to accelerate. KDB has with a pit stop which may not have worked in his favor. P5, running P5 right now. Mr. Wex in the mix as well. He is the closest driver. Sector 1 goes yellow. Looks like we do have a driver pretty much beached. Yep, and it is Zunaid. Yep, it was Zunaid. Looks like he's ready and good to go. Fastest lap for Nero X as UK closes in on accelerate. Blamzino and Shivsundar going at it at the back of the pack once again. 3-second time penalty for UK. That's not going to work out in his favor, is it? As he tries to dive around the inside, loses the rear of the car a bit. Going into corners, these two are looking mighty bright, I must say. We'll have Slipstream, peeks down the inside. Will he get the move done? It's a question of a couple of corners for sure. Wheel to wheel around a bunch of corners there. Accelerate in UK. Brilliant racing by the two lads as Accelerate tries to hold off UK going in to the next straight at Sector 2. Slipstream, yes, UK, will you get it done? Wheel to wheel once again, these two lads in UK not too happy with Accelerate holding that position pretty well, because takes too much of the curb there. UK big man Joe closes in on UK now. Clearly UK's effort at trying to beat Accelerate is paying off as we are on board. Big man Joe, we see UK make that jump on Accelerate. Can he hold it is the question. Clearly Accelerate won't be slacking off, going to the next bunch of corners and onto the main straight soon enough. As we start the final lap, Nero X is possibly way in front, yep, with one of the back markers in fact, but the race is active and going in P2, P3 and P4 as KDB closes in on Big Man Joe himself. Goes wide there, Big Man Joe. Not too bad. Fix 356, 3-second time penalty. Nero X going into the second sector. I wonder what's in his mind as Accelerate peeks around the outside of UK. Will he get it done is the question. Wheel to wheel there. What brilliant racing by these lads. Said that more than once. Clearly as he spins, Accelerate has spun, almost went into Big Man Joe there. Disaster for him. He was running P2, folks. P2. Let's move on to Nero X then. He's coming around the final sector. Nothing to worry about. What a race he's driven. From lap 1 to lap 13. Nothing to worry about. Race lead his and 22-second gap to the next competitor. What a race. Nero X coming around the last corner. Well deserved. The 10th victory at Race to Zero hour. Nero X, the race winner, and rightfully his. UK coming around sector number 3 has Big Man Joe to worry about. Meanwhile KDB on the tail of Big Man Joe as well. So close, loses it a bit there KDB, but UK making good on that last corner across the line. P2, Big Man Joe across the line P3, but folks, after unserved time penalties, KDB puts himself P2. Accelerate puts himself on the podium himself, and Big Man Joe has to settle for P4, a UK P5. They won't be too glad about that. Not one bit. Not one bit. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Cleaner the race, better the opportunity to be on the podium. Brilliant racing. Brilliant racing tonight here at Silverstone. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Looks like the driver's having a bit of fun there. Meanwhile, Freeze comes across the line P11, Piyush Gandhi will come across the line P12, and so on. What a race that was. Woo. Driver of the day, Piyush Gandhi. he had multiple moments where he was fighting with other drivers, so clearly rightfully deserved. Podium, Nero X, 10 times, if I'm not wrong, or 9 times. I'm losing count clearly. 9 times race winner, Nero X. Brilliant at that, he'll be happy about that. Accelerate, puts himself on the podium as well. KDB with that P2, he'll be glad himself. That gap never seemed to close, did it, folks? Nero X, a race winner once again at the race to 0R. KDB P2, P3 for Accelerate. Not a stranger to the podium. And Big Man Joe puts himself at P4, his best result, I'm sure, in race to 0R till date. And UK P5, Victory Fight 6, P6. P7 for Mr. Works, Tear Gasly P8, Harash 24, P9, Blame Zeno after an unfortunate couple of spins, P10, and so on. Freeze Piyush Gandhi, Shiv Sundar, and Zunaid. Brilliant stuff, folks. The 8 of y'all who stuck to the very end. Thank you so much for watching Race to 0R. And of course, race number 12 will be on Tuesday. Make sure you tune into that. Good night and cheers.